goals, or the SDGs, of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development adopted by world leaders in September 2015 at an historic UN summit officially came into force. Over the next 15 years, with these new goals that universally apply to all, countries will mobilize efforts to end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change while ensuring that no one is left behind. The SDGs build on the success of the Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) and aim to go further to end all forms of poverty. The new goals are unique in that they can call for action by all countries for rich and middle income to promote prosperity while protecting the planet. They recognize that ending poverty must go hand in hand with strategies that build economic growth and addresses a range of social needs including education, health, social protection, and job opportunities while tackling climate change and environmental protection. While the SDGs are not legally binding, governments are expected to take ownership and establish national frameworks for the achievement of the 17 goals. Countries have the primary responsibility for follow-up and review the progress made in implementing the goals, which will require quality, accessible, and timely data collection. Regional follow-up and review will be based on national level analysis and contribute to follow-up and review all
A very good morning to you. If you've just joined us, we're celebrating UN Day here at the KTV2 studios, live from Kuwait City. Our next guest is in the studio now, Mr. Adel Sadoon, who's a Kuwaiti historian, and we're going to take a look at the origins of the United Nations. I think some interesting facts about how the UN came about. Of course, we already spoke to the representative of the UNDP here in Kuwait about the UNDP program and the 2030, the issues for 2030 that are being dealt with by all the member countries who've signed up to it. Mr. Adel Sadoon, welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us today.
I am very glad.
Mr. Adel, when was the UN founded exactly?
Actually, if we talk about the history, if you go back 100 years, there was the Red Cross Committee and there was Lahey Convention, and it was 1907 and 1899. That's just beginning to make allies between some countries in Europe. After that, when the first war happened in 14, and when the war ended in 1918, there is a conference held in Paris. They established the League of Nations, اللي هي أصبت الأمم. And that time there is only USSR, UK, United States, and Japan. This is the first establisher for the League of Nations. But this League of Nations, unfortunately, she not get her role, and she not affected in the internationally, especially when Japan invaded in 1931 Manchuria, north of China, and the Italian-Ethiopian War in 1935. After that, Japan invaded China, 1937. After that, when Germany started invading their neighbors, and started the Second World. So this is just brief history how the idea started. During the war, the war not ended in 1945. There was meeting between Franklin Roosevelt, the president of USA, and the Prime Minister of UK, Winston Churchill. In that time, in 1941, they make the Declaration of the United Nations, which they invited another country like USSR and China. When we talk China, not now the big China, we talk about Taiwan. It was one of the part of that meeting. And the second day, the 24 countries added to this convention or conference, and they signed a treaty which they call it the Charter of Atlantic Charter. When they signed it, and it became 51 countries signed it that time, which the Atlantic Charter talk about the human right, talk about liberty, about independence, unarmed the weapons, and justice in the everywhere. But the main point which started the United Nations, it was when the conference held in San Francisco on 25th of April 45, and at that time they signed and ratified the Charter of Atlantic Charter, which they call it now the Charter of United Nations.
The UN Charter.
UN Charter, and it started from that time.
That was the idea of the UN. Of course, the failure of the League of Nations led to that because of all the... There were a lot of factors to the failure of the League of Nations, of course, mainly the outbreak of World War II. So, and now Kuwait's involvement, of course, Kuwait joined the UN in 1963. And how has Kuwait been involved with the UN from all that time?
Actually, Kuwait, after its independence in June 1961, she not let the chance go and started in 2 weeks to submit application to be a part of the United Nations. But there's some obstacle came. That one, Iraq, she not accepted Kuwait as independent country. So it just delay the matter to be as independent country in the United Nations before she become a member. But this one is passed. Kuwait same time in after 1 month of independence, they created like Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so that when you should have foreign affairs before when the British protection in Kuwait, of course the Kuwait have no foreign affairs outside the country. So Sheikh Abdullah Salim, Amir of Kuwait, he established the foreign affairs and he assigned Sheikh Sabah Salim, his brother, as the first foreign
foreign minister.
Of course, at that time we not to call it ministers, but there's another name like department, foreign department. That time, on the 30th of November '61, Kuwait submit application to the United Nations to be a member. In the 20th of April '63, Kuwait was accepted. Of course, there was a big role for UK and USA to be Kuwait be in the international community. Especially Russia, it was not agreeing, or USSR to be Kuwait, but there's huge pressure from USA and UK to be Kuwait,
to support Kuwait, to become a member.
So it was accepted in April, but joined in May.
Joined in 14th of May. It's been she became a member. And she became the number 111.
Yeah.
After 1 week, Sheikh, His Highness the Emir, that time he was the Foreign Affairs Minister, he raised the Kuwait flag in the United Nations, Same time, he have a speech in the General Assembly of United Nations. It was a very good and huge speech. He talked about Kuwait, and it was very effective.
Right. And of course, the United Nations came a lot to the support of Kuwait during the invasion time, when His Highness the Emir gave a speech at the United Nations in 1990. I still remember that speech.
Yes,
correct?
Yes. That, yeah, of course, that was effective, and some people was crying even somewhere
it was
about his talking.
Right.
Yes.
And Kuwait continues to be a very active member in the UN, in the United Nations.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
please.
of course, after that, she joined the World Health Organization, the International Atomic Search, the ILO, International Labor Organization, the World Bank. Actually, Kuwait joined the World Bank before independence, in 1961.
Okay.
Before independence, before she joined the United Nations.
Okay.
And she joined even with the World Bank and the World Bank for Construction, not only the monetary bank, even the World Bank of Construction.
Okay.
And now Kuwait is with most of the organization in UN. She is a member.
Right. And of course, His Highness the Emir, as we spoke earlier, was honored of the UN Humanitarian Leader of the Year. And Kuwait has also, I think, taken a lot of humanitarian causes in working with the United Nations towards international humanitarian relief. Is that not true?
Yes. Actually, appointing His Highness to be a leader in the humanitarian, it's a big step for Kuwait. That
it's an honor, I
big
think.
effort and honor, yeah.
Yes.
Make effort to raise Kuwait to this level. You know, it's not come by accident or by chance.
Correct.
So, His Highness the Emir, all what his work that time during the last 5 years, actually is being crowned by nominate him as leader of the humanitarian work.
Yes, very good. Mr. Adel Sadoon, historian and astronomer, thank you very much for being with us on this special UN Day today here in KTV2.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I'm happy.
Thank you. We're going for a little break, and we will be back.